Welcome back to Excellence is in Utilities podcast, exploring how the utilities sector can unlock its hidden excellence, uniting purpose, people, and process to deliver sustainable performance and lasting impact. I'm Megan James, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to achieve compliance with commitment. So in earlier episodes, we explored two important ideas. Matt Jackson talked about how purpose drives performance. When people understand their why, their work matters and performance follows. And then more recently, Ishan explored codifying excellence, taking what good looks like and making it consistent, repeatable and reliable through standardization. So in the utility sector, whether that's water, energy, nuclear, compliance is non-negotiable. It protects public health, it safeguards the environment, and it maintains trust in an essential service. But as we move into new strategic planning and transformation cycles, compliance alone won't deliver the outcomes expected of us. We need something more to help us transform. This episode is about how to build on compliance with commitment. When people don't just meet the standard, they take ownership of excellence and are responsible for improving the way we deliver. So firstly, let's take a look at the very real challenge that's ahead of us. Utilities companies operate in one of the most regulated environments there is. Regulated in safety, quality, environmental protection, asset resilience, all of them absolutely critical. As a consequence, the focus has always been on control and assurance. But the expectations placed on the next 5-year plan are different. Not just compliance, but improvement. Not just delivery, but we need transformation. And that needs not just management, but leadership. Customers expect a better service, regulators expect stronger outcomes, and communities deserve environmental stewardship. And that means the way we work has to evolve. So if compliance keeps the system running, commitment is what improves and transforms it. So let's unpack this a little bit. Compliance is largely external. When people work in a compliance mindset, they tend to think about we have to. It's driven by regulation, by targets, and largely by quality and assurance frameworks. It creates consistency and standardization, which is hugely important. But as a comparison, commitment is rather internal. People working in a commitment mindset more think about we want to, not we have to. It's driven by purpose, by pride, by responsibility to customers. So if compliance says follow the process, commitment says let's make that process better. And here's the key thing to remember. So whilst most transformation plans are well designed, they have strong strategies, they have clear outcomes, but they succeed or fail based on behaviour, based on how people show up to work every day, how they work the work, on whether they feel ownership or obligation to deliver excellence. So how do utilities organisations start to change behaviours from this compliance mindset to a commitment mindset? I think the first thing to think about is making purpose visible. So linking back to Matt's webinar on when process meets purpose, purpose has a tendency to get lost sometimes in plans, in metrics and in reporting cycles. So although those figures make sense, people can often become really disconnected from the why they are doing things. However, when compliance is clearly linked to real outcomes and why, behaviour starts to change. So as an example, a sampling procedure isn't just a task, it's something that protects public health. An environmental standard isn't just a burden, it safeguards ecosystems for the long term. We need people to see the connection between their work and the transformation outcomes, and that's when commitment grows. I think the second thing to think about is that as a leader, we need to demonstrate the behaviours we want to see. So whilst 5-year plans often sit in documents, they have to, they land in the business through leadership behaviour. People watch what leaders focus on and what leaders do. So are leaders asking for compliance? Or do they also ask, what are we learning? What's improving? How do we transform? When leaders are visible, curious, and consistent, teams respond. Of course, there will be times when a compliance conversation is absolutely appropriate one to have. But when leaders treat that compliance as a minimum and excellence as the goal, behaviour starts to shift from box ticking to ownership. Thirdly, we believe that the way to change behaviours is often to build habits. And we've written about this in one of our books, 4+1, for those of you that haven't read it. And through that, we've really seen habit formation change cultures at scale. So changing habits means recognizing that behavior change doesn't come just from strategy days. It comes from daily work, from doing the right things that enable transformation every single day. It comes from working the work. And that happens in shift handovers, site meetings, team meetings. It's built into existing routines and linked to the purpose. If you do this, the 5-year plan stops feeling like a change program, but really just the way that we do business. And I think the last thing I'd say is don't forget to recognize what good looks like. People repeat what gets recognized, and if recognition is only about hitting regulatory numbers, commitment stays limited. But when organizations recognize improvement and transformation behaviors, things start to change organically. Raising a risk early, sharing a learning from a failure, improving a process that protects customers or the environment. These behaviors do matter for transformation, and recognition reinforces that excellence. So compliance will always matter, especially in the utilities industry. It's a critical foundation. But the transformation expectations across the industry demand more than compliance alone. They demand commitment. Commitment from people who understand the purpose, trust the process, and take pride in improving how outcomes are delivered and are recognised for it. Building on this, in the next episode, Matt Jackson will join us again to look at creating and cascading your why. We're also inviting established utilities providers to apply for our utilities benchmarking study, designed to better understand, share, and collaborate around the industry-wide challenges of delivering excellence. Each participating organisation will receive an enterprise gap assessment, a detailed report, and a road mapping session with the SA Partners team, helping you to better understand your unique journey to excellence. Apply now using the QR code to see where excellence lives in your organisation, how to find it, nurture it, and sustain it. Thank you for listening. We look forward to seeing you again next week on Excellence is in Utilities.